Welcome, please, Gwen and Judy. And or do you call yourself Celtic Grass as a group? Or is that, yeah, Celtic Grass. Very good.
The first set we're going to do are a couple of barn dances from Australia, followed by a couple of jigs, Irish.
Don't blame me. We're going to slow it down. This one is a set. 3 things. The first one is called Neil Gow's Lament to His Second Wife. And I just recently found out that what he meant by second wife was his fiddle. These tunes have such weird names that I'm fascinated. And the second one is called Flatbush. Flatbush Waltz and Soren's Waltz.
Well, we were trying to decide what to do for this, and Judy had to brainstorm to maybe do Margaret's Waltz and ask Rita, because Rita loves Connie Collin. She's reading next.
But could we go in the order that we practiced outside? You could go over there and you could come over here. I inherited this from the Images ad hoc
singers. Move in just a little bit. Can you move in just a little bit? Great.
Charms and its delights, but something about the moon tonight sent a longing to my soul to be at a dance with the one I love on a warm prairie night. And I can hear that Margaret's voice and the fiddle plays so sweet, and I can feel the spring of the hardwood floor beneath my feet. I close my eyes and I see the lights downtown twinkling at night. They say that home is where the heart is. I guess they're right. They say that home is where the heart is. I guess they're right. And I can hear that Margaret's waltz and the fiddle plays so sweet, and I can feel the spring of the hardwood floor beneath my feet. I close my eyes and I see the lights downtown twinkling at night. They say that home is where the heart is. I guess they're right.
Now I'm going to introduce our last reader before the break, and that reader, of course, is Rita Moyer. And some of the thought for her work was stimulated here at the Women's Festival a few years ago. Because one day in a circle of women out on the lawn, women talked about how they had no culture of their own to turn to, and how many have turned from the church or turned from their mothers and have nowhere to turn for their history and are not sure where they belong. And so then Rita noticed the same night that she saw the building erupt into jigs and polkas, and women of all ages were dancing their full heads off to the music that they'd heard all their lives. And so that day made her want to dig into stories of women, in particular her mother and her grandmother, and to celebrate their lives, the so-called ordinary lives of women, and offer them to us. So we do have stories, says Rita, and we do belong to every part of this country. And she is, as we know, a traveling gal. And so her latest book, which is Buffalo Jump, carries on from Survival Gear, which is a great book. If you haven't read Survival Gear, you might want to read it chronologically just to keep up with Rita, you know? It kind of works that way. I'd also like to toot her horn because she's neglected to do so here. Rita first of all worked for 17 years as a journalist in print and radio, stringing for CBC and the Globe and Mail, and working at the Nelson Daily Snooze and all sorts of other places. She is a co-winner of the event nonfiction contest, the creative nonfiction contest, for her wonderful essay called Leave Taking, which is based is a story about preparing a body for burial here for the Dumont Creek Burial Society. And Rita contributes, as most of us know, a great deal to her community, volunteering more hours than just about anybody I know to all sorts of great things. And so a lot of this big heart of hers ends up in her writing, which makes it a wonderful read. You laugh and you cry and you just carry on with her adventures. So it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce Rita, my wee friend.
Hi. I'm going to just read briefly from Buffalo Jump because I got my few minutes of fame there already. I just finished this book tour from Victoria to Winnipeg and down into Minnesota, and there was a lot of really good times, and it's great to come home and read at the Women's Festival. I don't know how many of you have been to Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump in southern Alberta, but it's been my, well, I did live in southern Alberta for several years, and love the geography, and then I got to go to Head Smashed In a couple times, and after being at a workshop a couple years ago here, as Caroline said, I thought, well, it's time to go out to find some of these stories and travel with my mother. And at Head Smashed In, it is such a magnificent place. And it gives you such a long view of the prairie and a perspective on our geography, that it also gives a perspective on our lives. And I'm just going to read a little bit to start out about going to Head Smashed In. It's this magnet, well, what happened there is, it's a place of history, and where the buffalo were herded and went over the side, over the cliffside. It's at the edge of the Porcupine Hills. It's odd, I suppose, but it was at the Buffalo Jump, alone in the wind, that my mother's stories began singing for me. Odd because the Buffalo Jump is not my own, as the ocean was not my own. When I stood at the jump, I understood that in that particular place of history, I'm a visitor. There are thousands of years of stories above and below these cliffs. Yet the silence there, the vastness, hit me, hollowed me inside out again, hollowed me inside out and back again, like the ocean, like the first thunderous chords from a church organ. I know the Buffalo Jump was a place of huge pain, of herds going over, of death and bloodshed, but in the quiet there, I also know a Buffalo Jump is a place of stories, of imagination, where a leap is a transition. The Buffalo Jump gave me enough distance back to the mountains, out to the prairies, to take a longer view, to make my own transitions, to listen to what isn't being said, prairie stories sometimes told with silences. And so I went on from this place, much like Survival Gear, I went to a place that really wasn't my place, but it helped me to go out and find my place. And I think in doing this, it helped me to find the stories from my mother and grandmother, to build in a way the kind of religion you have to build for yourself sometimes when you don't feel like you have a particular place in any of the religions we have. Anyway, my mother was born in southern Manitoba in a little place called Larivire. And this story I first read at the Women's Festival about 4 years ago when I first started writing the book. So I'm going to read this story now because I'm going to move this first. Stand up. You're going to help me? Okay. Good. Okay. That's good. Yeah. Women before my time. Then I think, my God, Nellie McClung lived and taught right down the road in Manitou. Her politics were forged from the kind of isolation women like Nana lived in. My mother's telling me a story, and my mind is reeling with the knowledge that we fit into a bigger history. As Mum tells it, they were young women, and they'd been on the farm too long. They were the wild women of Larivire. Nana wasn't Nana then, she was Georgina, and she went by Jo. Nana and these women are huddled in the night amidst the kerosene lamps. They didn't have electricity then, at least I imagine they didn't. They're on that God-forsaken hillside as I have come to know it. They're playing cards, whist, like bridge with no bidding. The men in the town know the women are playing cards tonight. A woman glances up from her cards. She's holding hearts, a lot of them queen high. Where's the king, she wonders, and who has the ace? A man looks in the window. This is true, we know this is a fact. We're not certain of the exact date because sometimes Nana could embellish a story, but it is the deepest of winter. So we'll say it's January, a deep Manitoba January with early dark and darker winds, and the women are deep under the light. Let's make it an overhead chandelier, kerosene. I know this kind exists because I saw one in Nova Scotia. The chandelier, 6 small lamps on a wagon wheel, is lowered on a pulley just above the women's heads. All the man at the window can see is the sweep of their hair and the concentration in their shoulders as they lean into the light and the secrets of their cards. They are young mothers. They somehow have left their children with their husbands and have this night alone playing cards. Or no, perhaps the children of all the women are in one room in this house, settled side by side like cordwood in the one bed under homemade quilts. Okay, the kids are sleeping, the women are concentrating. Nana hears a sound outside. She looks to the glass, the older Ripley kind that wavers and distorts. A man is watching them through the window. The women, there are 5 or 6, leave the table quickly. They capture the man, the snow is deep, and their numbers are greater. They strip him and douse him in water. Right on, Nana, I'm thinking. Of course, not really remembering for the moment of this outrageous image that is the coldest and darkest night in January and the killing it can do. They thought it was hilarious, my mother says, in a voice that conveys it was not, and her eyes are just a little dangerous. Usually my mother and I share a motel room, and sometimes we get separate rooms just for a break. Tonight, alone at the bathroom mirror, I see Nana is looking at me. It's happening, I say, and I give her a wink. Really, all I see is her mouth, my mouth. The small vertical lines extending up from my lips are Nana's. It's the only daily reminder of a woman I really knew very little. There are a few people left to say she has her Nana's mouth, so I say it for them. I got some of my Nana's dresses after she died, modern ones my mother had bought her because Nana did like to be up to date. Except I don't really feel anything of Nana when I wear them. But when I first put on her Persian lamb coat with seal trim, the one she saved up for in Winnipeg and wore all her life after she left the farm, when I put my hand in the pocket and pulled out the storage receipt for 1983, I thought, hello Nana, I'm in here now. I haven't read this story before. I traveled to Cape Breton and back with my mother, and then we sat around looking at the photographs when we got back to her house. She lives in Minnesota.
And we sat looking at the photographs of her. It's interesting, most of the stories my mother told were stories of before any of us kids were born. Like, she had this whole life that really had nothing to do with the 5 of us. And it was, I'd never heard these stories really in 75 years of her life. Because you got your own life and you live far apart and you start to lose these stories. Back at my parents' house, I asked my mom to look at family pictures with me again because this is my time to concentrate, get it right, fill in the gaps. Try to stay inside the journey like you always do for the first few hours when you get home before life robs you of your concentration, your otherness. I also asked my dad about his stories, and he promises to tape some of them for me, stories about working out on the Hudson Bay, about his family. He had a little brother who died too, just like my mother did, but he can't remember his name, just the white coffin in the living room. Right now, he sits across the room with their dog Casey on his lap. Connor, my dog, is on the rug, and Mom and I look at photographs. These ones are older, go further back than our baby pictures. One picture in the album is of wolves on the tundra chasing a moose. I describe it aloud to Dad over in his chair, and he's pretty sure he took that photo. 3 wolves, the lead wolf with its head thrown back and baying as the moose stumbles through crusted snow and vine-made travel. He made the piano hum when he was home. Next to his picture, in white ink on the soft black pages of the album is written, Honi Soit Qui Mal Y Pense. My mother says that means all that glitters is not gold. Others say it means shame on those who think badly of him. That's the one who molested the boys, Dad says from across the room. She says, yes, I know, and turns the page. Later, she tells me that teacher was tender to her, saw her best, her dreams, her talent, believed in her and told her so in an era when stupid was the word used to describe women. Stupid woman, she had heard so often coming from the mouths of others. In any anecdote about a woman, the limpet-like adjective was stupid. Many years after the photos were taken, her teacher was charged with molesting boys in those classrooms, and she'd never known. As she tells me this, I wonder, how can you explain that you're sickened, yet there was something there that was missing in other men? He was not just gruffness, coldness, brush-aside toughness. He was that rare person saying, you are valuable, you have things to say and be, and you'll be good at whatever you choose to do. I could see that, could see it in the picture. A man telling my mother, you have something to say, you are smart and talented. That's why it's not so hard to understand many years later when my father told her the teacher was charged with molesting boys, how she got so mad at my father for shattering her faith. Of course she knew it was the teacher she should be mad at, that he had fooled everyone, including her. I think in me it would then have shattered most everything, any faith that he'd helped me build in myself. I'd probably crumple, conclude the belief in me must also have been a lie. The encouragement and praise must have been a lie, for a long time anyway. But not my mother. She does not deny what the man did, but she will not, never did, never will discard the belief he gave her in herself. A friend asks me, how could she grow up so strong if she heard the word stupid so often? Nana heard it too, I said, and so did I and all my friends. Didn't we grow up with stupid woman driver, stupid bitch, stupid cow, stupid cunt, stupid, 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 stupid? Didn't we take strength from wherever we could get it? There's another piece that I've never read before because you sort of have to have read the book to get it. So I'm going to give you the 30-second summary of the book here. There's a story about my Nana walking around the block after her baby died. There's a story about a big woman who appeared, a nurse who appeared at their door and saved their lives in a blizzard. And there's a story about my mother as a 10-year-old girl jumping for the train. About my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother rescuing shipwrecked sailors. A story about my sister living with us after her child died. There's a lot of those kind of stories in this book, but it's like I wanted to find out our history, and amazing the number of women who lived alone or left their husbands and did it just fine, thank you very much, long, long ago. And it's kind of a hidden history. But I'm going to conclude with this piece because I feel like throughout the hard time this book started with, I had female relatives and animals coming to me to help me out throughout. In my dreams, for years now, the animals have kept coming. They are pushing in, trying to tell me something as they barge around and take my hand. Even in their intrusion, they don't scare me. They are dancing, pivoting on sharp hooves, barreling around with their shoulders, raising small tornadoes in the dust. It's trite, perhaps, or presumptuous to think there's something out there helping me. But I don't have God or Mary or Jesus. I never rejected them. They were just gone from my family before I was born, except as figures in someone else's literature. But I guess I had to conjure something to help me through the hard times. At least she has her faith, I've heard it said, of people who pulled through, overcame. And what faith is mine beyond some fierce belief that people are good, that tomorrow will be better? What images of strength are there bigger than my own repeated beliefs, which some days can be kicked and shattered like rocks cracked with fault lines? I look at the wall before me. These are the pictures of the last few years since leaving Nova Scotia. Coulees, the Atlantic, long grasses, the buffalo jump, buffalo and wolves, snowdrifts outside our old prairie shack, gravestones of miners in the crow's nest, full of stories. There are only 2 pictures of people, standing by oxen or buffalo. I look at these pictures and I know they are my bones and sinew, my rock and my lift. It's okay, Nana. It's okay, Mom. It's okay, buffalo and wolves. Your stories will be in me. Sometimes I will wear your coats, and sometimes you will sing to me, and sometimes we'll all go separate ways, or we'll be silent. But I have to thank you. I have to say this grace to you for coming to me when I was alone. The buffalo hunt was blessed before setting out on the prairie. The fleets are blessed before setting out to sea. What movement of a woman ever was blessed before she set out? God bless Nana for the moments after her baby died. God bless Edna Mae Grady for the largeness of her body filling a door frame. God bless my mother for jumping for the train. God bless great-grandma Allison for leaving a drunken husband and setting off on her own for Winnipeg. God bless my sister Donna for hearing her babies cry on the wind and making more babies. God bless a great, 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 great for her sturdy body trusting the rocks and the sea. God bless their Scottish spines that straightened and endured. God bless their Irish souls that made stories to make it all bearable. From this place, this distance, this wind, I can finally hear them. In this quietness, I can begin to hear their voices as they themselves have heard voices in the wind. A prayer to all women, that's what my buffalo jump is. Huge imagery for what often is lost or never even told. I want a prayer to them, a monument as big as cliffs, as strong as wind, as silent as alder. I want the small walk Nana took to be a mile in silence, mother's jump to the train, a mile in laughter, the voice of my baby sister, my sister's baby, a train whistle shaking the prairie night. I want the broken stories to be told. These small movements, the taking in of air, the leap, eyes on the horizon, they are our buffalo jumps, our movements that shape our lives forever. Thank you.
And God bless Rita Moyer. Our last set of musicians before the break are international folk singers Helga and Henny, and they got lost too on the way to the Valley Hole. But that's okay. Let's welcome them now.
with you in just a moment.
We seem to fit because we are singing songs from the past. And in Indonesian, okay, you can guess the languages, some of them we fake, hopefully well. And I saw they always, la na 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 da da is my Indonesian language of song, if you don't know the words. If you just, you know the melodies, I think all of them. If you feel like dancing in the end, you can do it. There's enough space for singing. And we start mellow. Yeah.